Hello, everyone. It is the 13th of January 2022, and I'm just about to speak to an accountant, a self-employed accountant called Caitriona O'Callaghan, who is based in Dublin. She's 53 and has three older children, aged 20, 18, and 16. And she's very kindly agreed to do this interview and said vaccine passports are in Ireland, and I don't think people really understand what's going on there. And you said the againstvaccine-passports.com directory is a really good idea because we've done something early on. We've got to look all around the world, haven't we, where they've brought in vaccine passports. And we've done an interview with someone in Lithuania, and I need to do more and more of these interviews, really, because there doesn't seem to be a lot of people speaking to individuals where vaccine passports are part of daily life. They're changing culture, they're changing society, they're changing relationships of trust with businesses, and we are not getting that voice, we're not hearing it. So thank you ever so much for doing this interview. I know I have a contact in Dublin, a solicitor, who said, they said, well, they can go to queue for a coffee, but they're not allowed to sit down and drink it if they're unvaccinated. And this isn't actually a vaccination issue, this is a vaccine passport issue. And we're aware of people who are vaccinated who are just absolutely horrified by this papers, please society, this vaccine passport society. So first of all, can you tell me why you've agreed to do this interview? You obviously think it's important, and I have to thank you for doing it. Why have you agreed to talk to me?
Well, I strongly disagree with the whole pass situation. I'm horrified by it, actually. And it really is changing the fabric of our society. So I'm happy to help you guys in the UK to see what really is going on, because as I said to you, Anna, you're coming at it from a much better standpoint than we are. You're stopping them coming in. Once they come in, it's really hard to stop them. And I'm hoping to make that clear as we go through the interview, why it becomes hard to stop them once they've actually come in. It's kind of a creeping nature to it.
How has it impacted your life then, day to day, if you're not using the vaccine passports? And how big is the community that is not using vaccine passports, and how are you connecting? So some questions there.
Yeah.
So tell me some sort of like the most awful thing. What's the most awful thing about this at the moment for you, living your day-to-day life?
Well, I mean, for my children is the main thing. For me personally and my husband is, I mean, okay, we can't go to restaurants and the cinema and, the usual things we do, but we can live with that. But it's our children who are trying to grow up and live a normal life. That's the thing that I find the most upsetting.
How has it impacted your children?
Well, one of them, I mean, they can't do the normal things. Kids these days go to restaurants, and they can't go to restaurants with their friends, and they can't go to the cinema. That my daughter is in university, and this is one of the issues with this pass. It tends to have a creeping nature, as I was saying, and other organizations, even though they haven't been told that they have to introduce the pass, everybody starts introducing the pass, taking the law into their own hands. So you have university societies taking it upon themselves to look for passes for society outings, for society events, and for other society things. Now, we haven't introduced the pass for education, like in Lithuania, but everything around education, they're not able to engage in. Actually, sorry, I do have to qualify that. There is some people, the people who are doing, there's two girls who are actually taking a court case at the moment because they're doing midwifery in college, and they have been told they can't continue their education without a vaccine pass because in order to go into the hospital environment. So that is one instance of education. So their lives are being very negatively impacted.
Well, absolutely. And can I just ask you an important question? Is it all on the mobile? Is it expected to use a mobile, or do some people use printouts? And do you have a member of staff checking them, or do you have a system where you have a QR code that allows you? And also, are they, obviously smaller shops can't check everyone's mobile or papers? Is it just a
Yeah.
fine? Are they a risk of
So
fines? How does it practically work?
I'll just go through a few facts with you first, okay? Just to answer your question briefly, the passes, there usually is a member of staff looking at the passes, and most places they scan. Some places they don't, they just look at them, and you can print out your pass as well. So it can either be on a mobile or it can be printed out. But just let me go through some basic facts with you first, just so you understand. So the passes are needed for restaurants, pubs, and hotels, but they're not needed for education, as I said, or for essential or retail shops like in Lithuania. They're not needed for that in Dublin. As I've said, it's a creeping nature. They always brought in on a temporary basis. For instance, the ones for the hospitality was brought in, and we were promised that they would be removed by the 21st of October. And of course, 21st of October comes around and suddenly the cases go up and the passes are extended. And then the start of December, the hotels were brought on board with the promise that they would be removed on the 9th of January. And now suddenly they have been extended without any announcements, no complaints, nothing. They've suddenly been extended under the radar. Nobody's noticed, but they're there. And we know that they're going to be there permanently, but that's how they sell it to us. They sell it to us that it's going to come in on a temporary basis. The other thing about the passes over in Ireland is that, unlike the rest of Europe, used to be, now I know Austria is the same now and Germany has changed as well, but we have never allowed passes or tests as part of our passes, which I always felt was a very low blow. So it was really was a coercion tool to coerce people to get vaccinated, because they had no option to use a test, an antigen test. The other place I will say that they are using the passes for, which I find the most upsetting, is for under 18s. Under 18s, they'll check for these passes. So you have to either be recovered or vaccinated, and they will check for them at kiddies discos and cinemas as well. So I hope that gives you an idea, an outline of the.
Yeah, let
the
me just think. I mean, I think about the things that people like to do here. We need to understand this. So, cinema, no. Going swimming?
Swimming pools. See, I'm not swimming with my kids, but I believe you need a vaccine pass for. Oh, yeah, sorry, for gyms. Gyms, you need vaccine passes now for gyms. That was in the latest. Yes.
What about going to church?
No.
You don't need a vaccine passport for church, okay. No. What about going to a small shop? So you've got your big food shop.
A retail shop? No.
Shopping centres? What about shopping centres? No shops at all. So it's mainly kind of like restaurants and social stuff.
Yeah.
So you basically, your family cannot go to a restaurant anymore. Can you go to a pub?
Sorry, we can go outside.
Are you allowed to sit outside?
We're allowed to sit outside. Yes.
Well, did you see that video that I shared that went viral about that lady who said that she was in the cold outside and they said, "Oh, come on in, really friendly restaurant, come on in." And then the dog ran in and then she said, "I just need to see your COVID pass." Is that what it's called, a COVID pass? And she said, "Well, I'm sorry, I don't have it." And she wasn't allowed in. She had to sit outside in the cold. I shared that with someone I used to work with at ITV in Oxford, and he said, absolutely, that restaurant did the right thing. And I'm like, I can't believe this. But obviously, well, there's a few things, isn't it? So you must have friends and contacts who are using the vaccine pass and like the vaccine pass. And do they like it or do they tolerate it? You know, your friends that have got it and use it, how do they feel about it? Well, tell me kind of what's going on in their heads.
Well, you see, this is the other consequence of the vaccine pass. It's extremely divisive. So, I mean, some friends I can talk to about it very openly, and other friends, it's just shut down. And you know how people feel. And obviously, people with the vaccine pass feel kind of helpless as well. It's like, well, I know I don't agree with it, but there's nothing I can do about it. So there's no point in talking about it. But by the very fact that they're actually using it and supporting it means that they're going along with it. So it's very, very divisive, very hard subject to talk about. So I'm lucky. I've a lot of friends who feel the same way as me, and a lot of my friends who are vaccinated as well also feel, very opposed to it as well.
Is your voice getting out in the media, in the mainstream media? The voice of, I don't know, there's 10% unvaccinated, but there's lots of people who are vaccinated who don't want to use the pass. Is that voice being heard on your media?
No,
legacy established media?
No, not at all. We have a very highly vaccinated population. There's over 90% of adults vaccinated in Ireland. So the policies have worked in that regard. The media over here is very one-sided. We have no opposition, no voice speaking on our behalf. There's a few, very few and far between is what I would say.
Okay. Well, that's the thing that's needed, isn't it? It's debate and having, your the part of society you represent being represented on the media and having your voice heard and being allowed to have that debate. And so another quick question, so say, for example, I own a cafe or a pub. Yeah. I'm not vaccinated. Yeah. I'm not happy, but I still have to enforce the vaccine or I will get a fine. Is that right? Was it a fine?
Okay. So why are businesses complying? So I read on the HSE website, the HSE is the equivalent to the NHS, that it is a voluntary program. So you'd wonder, why are they complying if it is voluntary? But really, it's only voluntary in writing. There's nothing voluntary about it. They're being coerced into adopting this program, and if they don't adopt it, they get a very hard time. You also have to remember that the subsidies have bought their support. They've been paid a lot of subsidies over the lockdown. We had the longest and hardest lockdown, I think, in Europe. And the businesses are on their knees. So they've been told this is the only way they can open up if they adopt this system. So,
well, this is a really important, but it's voluntary. Because that chat with Lithuania was interesting, wasn't it? Is it voluntary or?
Yeah, it is voluntary. Now, so there's a few things that have happened that you won't believe. There's been a hotline set up. I don't even know if it's real, but people snitch on people, on restaurants and hospitality venues. I can't even believe that I'm saying this about my own countrymen and people, that they actually, if they don't see the venues complying, they'll rat on you. So
how can they rat on you if it's voluntary? What are they going to do?
I'm not sure if there's actually a real hotline set up.
It's a fear, isn't it? It's a fear of being snitched on. It's like I have to go with everyone else.
With social media, they'll blacklist you on social media, and whatever.
You just get. I mean, we had it. Listen, we had it, Caitriona. We had a Christmas party, and they knew it was against vaccinepassports.com, and the Christmas party was held in. We were staying overnight at a hotel. It was run by a former professional footballer who absolutely loves us and is on the directory. But we just wanted to go for a meal next door because they didn't serve food. And the place next door, they just got 1 or 2 tweets from someone, and they went, "We're cancelling it."
Oh no!
That's the problem, isn't it? It's like, oh, we don't want any criticism. We need to keep everyone happy. We don't want that negative publicity, so we'll cancel it. And they didn't come up with a reason. They try. Oh, it's just pathetic as well. You speak to the marketing managers and comms and PR, and they're not honest. Just be honest. I'm scared. I'm scared about the backlash. I'm scared about.
Yeah. It takes a lot of courage to put your head above the parapet, especially in Ireland, where there's very high compliance. Sorry.
But we are so grateful to you for doing this, because I know I was going to speak to somebody else in Ireland and they were worried about speaking to me for the the potential impact it could have on their kids. And it's incredibly brave. And I have to thank you for doing this. And it's really to help us, isn't it? As a warning. And how do you form those communities? So it just shows you how important things like the Together Declaration and Big Brother Watch and the other groups we've got here, how important they are. Do you think this directory then that we've got 3,000 businesses in the UK, and we must add they are in Ireland as well. We have got a few in Ireland. How do you think it would have been useful for you?
Yes, absolutely. Well, we have a small directory here, but it's not very well known. My Compass is doing a similar thing. I think they've been in touch with you. That's how we got in touch with you in the first place. And we've been
give them a plug. How do people get hold of them if they're watching this in Ireland?
Well, they just go onto their website, mycompass.ie, and it's just a business network of businesses that are opposed to this, and they're just trying to...
brave businesses, aren't they? They're brave businesses because they're the ones that think, oh, so you're going to snitch on me. Why are so many people so keen on segregation? I mean, I didn't think we were into that. I thought it's embarrassing to turn people away. And if I was in that restaurant having my dinner and I saw this woman outside saying, just about to come in, saying, you can't come in, you've got to stay in the rain. Sorry. I'd be like, oh God, I'm embarrassed. I don't feel good about this. So why are so many businesses... because they obviously think the vaccine keeps me safe. I need to be around vaccinated people because I'm safe, and it's our way out of this. But why do you think that this isn't bigger, this community you've got of people fighting?
I think there's more people waking up, to be honest, because recently you've got the booster now, and the booster has been added to the vaccine pass. So if you're not boosted by, I think it's the 1st of February, your pass goes out of date. So that is about another 1.5 million people that will be considered unvaccinated and won't have a valid pass. So I think slowly we will start growing in numbers. And I do think that people do realize that it isn't really about, you can just as easily transmit vaccinated or not. So there's no purpose for the pass, really. There's no scientific basis for it.
Well, I mean, I have been speaking to an NHS consultant in infectious diseases who's trying to get his article in mainstream media publications. And I had an interview with him where we did talk about this. And the Pfizer study suggests there's a 25% decrease in transmission, but in AstraZeneca, it's only 2%. So there are studies that suggest there's a marginal risk decrease, marginal. And also people are saying if you're vaccinated, you're less likely to catch COVID, so you're less likely to pass it on. But it's not clear cut. It's certainly not black and white.
Well,
there are studies, and just to pick you up on that, there are studies that suggest there's a small difference.
But even with Omicron, because Omicron seems to have made a mockery of everything.
These are two things, aren't they? The vaccine booster and the Omicron situation has probably increased your audience. And I think what we would like to do here against Vaccine Passport Stockholm is help you guys. So obviously, please, in Ireland, list your business on the directory. We need to make it clear, though, if you have to enforce vaccine passports by law, you just need to be aware of that when you put your statement on there. But we want to help you guys. So can you tell us about your communities and how people can get in touch if they're living in Ireland?
Well, unfortunately, we're very badly organised in Ireland. We don't have organisations. Like we're very much undercover because it's so hard to raise your head above the parapet. So...
well, listen, anyone in Ireland, contact info@againstVaccinePassports.com and we will pass it on.
That'd be great.
But the big thing is, and it's very easy and very quick, is we have this map search and Ireland is included. So you run a little pub or a mechanics or a window cleaning business or a hotel. You just literally list your business directory, and then you guys keep checking on that and seeing, that the community grow. I really want to help if we can. But it came suddenly, didn't it? It came suddenly, and they've said it's temporary.
Yes.
And there hasn't been a lot of time to prepare.
No, we had very little time to prepare. So, and as I said, we have a very small community now. I do believe that community is growing, But we have a protest coming up on the 22nd of January. But in Ireland is a funny old place. It's very small, and people just don't like to be seen at protests. Protests have a bad name in Ireland, bad reputation. But actually, the protests for these things have attracted a lot of families, and families with buggies and children and everything, because people are so opposed to it. They don't want this world for their kids to grow up in. So
we're living on, our motivation, our battery, our power, our energy is based on the values, aren't they? It's based on values, because so many people turn on the TV and look at social media and think, oh, I don't want to be embarrassed. But actually, in your heart, deep in your heart, what do you care about? Do you care about equality? Do you care about freedom? Do you care about your children's future? Are you concerned that the government have introduced a discriminatory policy that's causing so much division, and like you said, your children can't mix with others? Do you actually think that's wrong, or you just want to be, I just don't want to stand out. I don't want to stand out. What is driving people?
I just think it takes a while it took me a while to psych myself up to speaking out. But I'm just so fed up at this stage, and I've had it, and I don't really care anymore about what people think or, what happens. So I just feel too strongly about this to stay quiet. So I think it'll take a while for other people they're just going through a process, and hopefully there was a petition started by vaccinated people actually against the vaccine passport in Ireland, and I think it gained about 20,000 signatures. So that was great to see. But I think they're going through the early start of the process, because their freedoms are only just about to be taken away from them now, whereas we've been
because these are the people that don't want the booster.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of, hello, what's this?
It's still very much driven by oneself, isn't it? You can be double vaccinated and have a booster, but still not think that you want to live in a society where you need to show a mobile phone to do anything.
Yeah.
This is history. This is history,
yes.
Caitriona. I mean, I hope someone records these interviews and keeps them for our children and our grandchildren.
Yeah.
Goodness me, look where we are, right, in 2022. Where are we going to be in 2030, 2040, 2050? This is history. And I'm just glad I've had an opportunity to record this and speak to you and see where you guys are at, and help in any way we can. But it beggars belief. I mean, it's like a dream, isn't it? It doesn't feel like it's really happening.
No.
It's like, and so many people, our regional reps in the AgainstVaccinePassports.com team, are saying, well, actually, you've got food, yeah? You've got a shelter, you've got income, you aren't massively being impacted. It's a fear for the future for our children.
That's exactly.
That's the big thing that's driving everyone. Actually, I'm not, I can still be free. I can say what I want. Still got free speech. I've still got, ability to buy food and to live a free life, but I'm petrified on where this is heading. And that's really the driver for anyone listening to this. It's about the future. It's about democracy. It's about trust in the institutions we thought wouldn't allow this to happen. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we finish?
Let me see. Check my notes.
Go ahead.
I think I've said it all. I think I've got across just really the psychological consequence of the vaccine passport, how divisive it is, and how difficult it is to talk to people about it. So you kind of have to keep your head down and get on with it, but also fight it at the same time. So it's just, the other thing I'll say is the people who have the passes, they have no idea of what it's like for the people who don't have the passes. They have absolutely no idea. I'm around these people regularly because I actually play golf locally, and they've all got the passes. I'm a bit notorious in the golf club. And it's like a parallel universe. They have no idea of the persecution that we are undergoing, and the discrimination and the segregation.
How do you think they see
no
you?
idea.
Do they just think, oh, she's doing her own thing? They don't dislike you, I presume. They're
No,
not angry with you.
well, maybe they are. Sometimes I'm a bit paranoid sometimes that certain people won't play golf with me, or I've had one comment, because I have been surviving on a recovery pass as well for a while. So I was able to go to one dinner that I decided I would go to. But I was questioned about that. Oh, can you go to that? So it's just funny questions, but we're lucky because we just eat outside most of the time there. We just have a nice balcony. So we just sit and drink our coffee there outside, and we never discuss it. Golf is a funny thing.
Well, listen, if I was one of those people in Ireland watching this now, I'd just say to you, well, why don't you just get the vaccine?
Well, that's it. That's what most people think. They actually think that, well, you do have a choice. This is your choice. And that's fine.
I'm asking you, why don't you just get the vaccine?
Because I don't feel I need it, because I have a good, healthy immune system, and it's got a 99.97% survival rate. So I just never felt I needed it. Genuinely, that's why. And once the coercion started, I kind of became even more opposed to it, because why should I give in to coercion? So, I mean, I'm not anti. All my kids have had all their childhood vaccinations and everything.
Will you have it? Would you have it in 2023 when the safety trials are over, when all the data's in, the long-term data's in? Would you have it then?
Well, I mean, I'd have to again look at the situation with the virus, and how look at the actual facts, and not listen to the fear mongering that is going on in the media, and see what the situation is. It's all about risk benefit analysis. That's what I've done, and I've been able to do it with a clear head. And I've never felt I needed it. So, and I've proved myself correct. I had COVID in August, and I was fine. I got over it. It was, like a bad flu, and I did get over it. And I think I might have it again at the moment. I'm not sure. It might be a false positive test, but it just feels like a cold. And it's fine. I've never felt at any point that I needed a vaccine to protect me against this.
Well, thank you for
I can
explaining.
understand.
That's I found it very useful speaking to you, and I hope the people watching have as well. And if you want a contact detail to share with those watching, then we're very happy to share that for you to connect with other people, and maybe even some journalists, because I think that has some use, doesn't it? Connected with journalists in Ireland as well. You take care, and thank you for your courage and your courage.
Thanks, Anna. Well, you're very courageous yourself.
Yeah. Courage.
Well done for everything you're doing as well.
We'll do it while we can each day. Take each day as it comes, my friend. Take each day as it comes. All right, you take care, and I hope we can help you guys in Ireland. Remember, the directory's there for you as well.
Okay. Thanks, Anna. Thank you very much.
All right, all the best. Bye.